guys, this is, what's your name?
Sam.
Yeah, Sam. We were at Checkers First. He did not play this deck today, but it's still a cool deck, and I thought I'd profile for you guys.
Yep, so
Go for it.
this deck is officially called Kaiju Trains. Very fun deck, as the name states. So, first you do, 3 Night Express Knights. 3 Night Express Knights. They're a staple in any train deck. You normal summon them. Use that to get out either with your bullet trains to make your easy level 10, or your heavy decker cranes to make your other easy level 10 exceed. So, right there, nice and easy for your trains. This one's fun. You detach it from a train, you blow something up. Very fun card. Good for OTKs. Next, you got your Flying Pegasus. Use these. You can res this guy. You can res this guy. You can res this guy. Nice and easy for level 10s. Again, make a good exceed.
And he copies the level, right?
Yep, he copies the levels. Very good card. He negates their effects too, but
Who cares?
yeah, most of them resolve in graveyard. So then I run 1 copy of Machina Fortress. This card's actually really good for making link plays. I run 1 of him for 1, I can get him out with urgent schedule if I already have all the trains I need. 2, if you find yourself with a lot of Kaijus in your hand, specifically Yugioh, you can use him, bring him out. It's a good going first card if people make you go first, because as trains you want to go second. Overall, really good. Only 1 of though. Next, we move into the Kaijus. First one, Humongous. So some of you may recognize him being the spider one. A lot of people don't know his effect. They remove 2 Kaiju counters. When your opponent normal summons an effect monster, you can remove 2. Its effect is then negated until the end of the turn, and it cannot declare an attack.
Yeah, and that
Very
comes
good
up
card.
with the field spell.
Yeah. Second, Thunder King Kaiju. You can remove 3 counters from the field. We're just going to say a field spell because that's all I use. From the field spell, he can attack monsters 3 times, and for the rest of the turn, your opponent cannot activate any card effects at all.
Pretty good.
Very good card. Good for the OTKs. Radiant, remove 2. Make a token. Good for making link stuff. I normally just give them to my opponent because it's not something they can use during their turn when I have the waterfront counters up. Then I run 3 Dogorans, because similar to Radiant, these are the guys you want to give your opponent because they don't have any effects during your turn. During your turn, you can remove 3 counters and just blow up all their monsters on their side of the field. He can't attack though the turn he does that.
But the other guys can.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Cool.
Then you have Gamma Seals. This is everyone's favorite Kaiju, but he also has a really good effect with the counters. Remove 2 counters, negate any card. Omni negate. Not even once per turn.
Is that one of the ones that you don't want to get to your opponent, though?
You do not give this guy to your opponent ever unless you don't have the Kyoto waterfront on the field. Then give it to him. Then this is actually my personal favorite, and I think an underrated Kaiju, Yugioh. I run 3 of him. 1, because of Machina Fortress that we said earlier. 2, he's a level 10. And 3, his Kaiju counter effect is when any card is targeted at all. Can be field, can be graveyard, any target at all. You can negate that and then pop any card on the field. Doesn't have to be the card that was targeted, you can pop anything. When Sky Strikers were a big thing, I loved using this to negate their stuff, specifically Widow Anchor, and then I would just pop a random back row card. Love this guy. So that's all the monsters. That's in total 12 Kaijus that I run. Which, on that subject, the 3 waterfronts that you run to pair with the Kaijus. Once it gets 3 counters, you can then search for any Kaiju monster you want once per turn. And anytime a card is sent from the field to the graveyard, Kaiju counter. Once it gets 5, that's its max. If it was to be destroyed by, say, Twin Twisters or Harpy Feather Duster, you just remove a counter instead. It stays on the field. It hates Cosmic Cyclone. Instant Fusion, you pay 1,000 to get a fusion monster. The targets for this is either Cybersaurus for your Earth Machine to help you get out a heavy decker train or a super bullet. I use this to kind of help with the clogging issue that the deck bricks sometimes. Or I use it to get out Raijin, where it's one of those, okay, I'm making more of a Kaiju play. I'll book the 1 Kaiju they have and then give them another Kaiju so I can essentially get rid of 2 monsters that they control.
That's pretty cool. You don't like that Thousand Eyes?
I don't like Thousand Eyes, nah. It's one of those, I prefer going with the level 5 monsters, but that's just my preference.
Okay.
Then we have Terraforming, use that to search waterfront. Your 3 Urgent Schedules. Now, this is Urgent Schedule, this is where the card I mentioned you can pair with Machina Fortress earlier. You get 2 machines, 1 level 5 or less, and then 1 level 5 or more. I usually get it to get Pegasus and Machina Fortress or one of the trains if I already have Maka Fortress in my hand or along those R lines. It's a really good card to actually combo with this card, Interrupted Kaiju Slumber. What you do is you use the urgent schedule to get out your Flying Pegasus Railroad Stampede and your Machina Fortress. And then you can link those away to create my favorite guy, Cleafort Genius.
Which can negate something, right?
True, that is one part of his effect, but the real part is he's unaffected by spells and traps. Which means when you play Interrupted Kaiju Slumber and your opponent has monsters, he will stay on the field. And then you get a Kaiju monster on the field. Which you can then use him to create Underclock Taker, which is part of the OTK. Very good card. I love him. Then, Skill Drain. I know it's a going second deck, but sometimes people want to go second, and also trains don't care about their effects really once they get going. Night Express Knight, you can easily just turn this into a beatdown and go pow. And then the last spells, which I almost forgot. This card is, a lot of people don't like running these in OTK decks because Dark Ruler No More means you can't kill your opponent this turn. I disagree on that, mainly because with a lot of decks in the current format, at least in my opinion, if you wipe their board completely with monster damage, it's very hard for them to make a comeback, especially if you already have an Omni Negate Gamma Seal on the field. Most decks cannot come back from that. So that is the main deck. The extra deck, first you have your Train Exceed monsters, as we like to call it, just big tank boy, gets up to 6,000 attack, he's your OTKer. Dora, I like to use Dora sometimes in combo with the Slumber as well. Just blow up the field, use the effect, make her unaffected by card effects, she stays. You normally do, boom, 2,000, boom, smack him with 6k. And if you're wondering how you do that, that's where Underclock Taker comes in. You do that, place your big train here, make the Kaiju you gave him have 0 attack points, boom, you win. Easy as that. And I can tell you that I have gotten off that combo so many times that it is very consistent. When most people rely on having really just 1 or 2 monster negates, this deck can play around that very well. Then you have, as I see, call them just the utility exceeds. He's a very good card when you're in more of a grindy game. You do it when you have more life points, because normally if they survive the first turn, they don't have a lot of life points left. You use him to kind of start the clock and also pump your own monsters up. Anytime they summon a monster, 600 points of damage, and your own guys get massively boosted by your life point difference. This is when I'm a little nervous about their back row, and Dare Crane's detach is not enough, or I really feel like they have something there. Detach, pop, turn into the Juggernaut. He's more of a nice, you aren't necessarily going for the OTK, but you want to more worry about the back row. He's more of a destroyer. And this one I don't actually get out that much. I normally use him and a Kaiju, or I normally use Flying Pegasus Railroad Stampede and a level 8 Kaiju, and then I overlay them into this guy, because keep this in mind, Pegasus Knight Railroad Stampede does not need to target a machine to change its level. It can change any monster's level that you control. So easy as that, make one of the target, make himself the level 8, boom. Easy as that. And then we have, he's just a good link card to do, Pivotal and Trains. We just went over Genius, the instant fusion targets, and this is a card that I run in the main deck.
There's a lot of Cyber Dragons here.
There's a lot of Cyber Dragons, so I run Fortress in the main deck because it's more of just a plop, I kind of kill you then.
Sounds good.
And that is the deck.
Thanks for the profile.
No problem.